This is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. So happy to be joined today by Angus Mackay, who is Product Marketing Manager with AJA Video Systems. Topic of conversation is, of course, AV over IP, aligning with our AV over IP deep dive. It's our main story in the big July-August issue, and it is all over commercialintegrator.com in the early part of August. We're all about AV over IP this month, and therefore we want to speak to Angus. We want to speak to AJA Video Systems about the latest trends and what they are bringing to market. Thanks so much, Angus, for joining me.
It's great to be here, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it because there's a lot to cover. When we talk about building scalable AV over IP workflows, what does scalability actually mean in the context of modern systems integration?
Great question. Scalability means a few different things, but you can imagine, like, what does it mean to me in the day-to-day? You would say, well, I have a fixed set of resources, tools, space, wires, devices, doors, rooms, windows, sinks, all the rest of it. So most of that is physically built and installed. And you actually imagine what your requirements are going to be ahead of time, and you build them in place. So scalability would mean taking that built environment and then figuring out how to get more from it. Hey, could I do some more work out of these existing tools or processes or systems? Or could I do the same work but reduce the cost or the effort involved to make that same deliverable? How can I reduce my inputs and still have the same output, increase your efficiency? Or how do I add some capability without having to do a whole new build? What do I have to tear open my wall to run new wires? Can I do that? Is there a floor where I can actually lift the tiles and get my cables through there or not? So there's all kinds of meanings of scalability. It's how flexible I can be, the different things I can do with my tools and my equipment and my resources, whether they're human or otherwise. But then also, how do I grow and how do I accommodate new work that I'm going to be bringing into my facility or my pipeline or my workflow? So I think those are the main issues around scalability. It's kind of like, how do I get more from what I have or do more with what I have?
I'd like to turn the attention now to limitations in traditional AV infrastructure. So what are those limitations when teams need to add capacity, support new workflows, make better use of the resources they already have? What are the limitations that may be hampering them on that traditional AV infrastructure?
It's a great question. And I guess, it depends if you're talking about baseband or truly IP. And so if we think about baseband, which is the history of all of these things, your limitation is obviously wiring and routing and having some kind of cross point where you can say, oh, I'm going to send this signal from one location and send it to another, your routing or your matrix. So in a baseband environment, that's obviously complicated because then you have to run all those extra wires, add your sources, go into the back of all of your equipment and make your connections, put new labels, program your cross points. It's a task in and of itself. In an IP environment, some of the limitations would be, well, do I have gear that can do more than one job at a time? Do I have equipment that could be scheduled or automated? How do I look at its availability and see when I could use that device for some processing? Does it have an API that I can connect to it from a distance and use an orchestration or an automation platform in order to be able to use it from a distance, or do I have to walk up to it and do manipulations on it? Those could be some examples. Then you have questions of like, well, I have a room and it was designed for a purpose. So maybe we have a video editing room, but I have audio editing work to do today. Am I going to be able to repurpose that room to do audio editing in a video room? Do I have the right computer and software or workstation? Do I have the right physical environment? Are the speakers in there and the listening environment suitable for me to do that? So that would be another limitation. I can move things around, but maybe the room is not configured correctly. There aren't enough chairs there for the people that want to be involved in the production, for example. So those are some of the traditional limitations. You've got things like the quality of your network switch is also a big factor, because in an IP environment, your network switch is really your backbone. That's what is managing everything. So you have to have a quality switch with the right features and capabilities to be able to handle all of the different zoning and growth capacity and VLANs and everything else that you might want to need. So a good switch is also vital. And so a poor one would be an obstacle to scalability for sure.
I want to talk a little bit about flexibility, which is perhaps the greatest commodity for integrators when they think about designing. How does shifting from dedicated signal paths to IP-based addressable media streams change the way integrators can design for flexibility and enable growth?
IP is great. If just a way to think about it is the first time you ever used a word processor and you were able to cut and paste and just move things around or hit undo or copy, copy, copy. All of the benefits of digital and non-linear and virtual are in AV over IP. So integrators can really add flexibility with AV over IP solutions. Anything that is going to be running that way is inherently more flexible. I can repurpose rooms. I can repurpose gear. If I have gear that is doing multiple functions, I can use it as an encoder at one time or a decoder at another. I can design workflows and pipelines where I'm going to be able to send my signal flow to the right device at the right time to receive the process that it needs in the pipeline. And because it's all accessible through the switch and immediately available through your network, I don't have to worry about all of the things we were talking about before, hard wiring, going into a central room, doing my patching and my connections. I can use NMOS, identify all my devices, query them, see what their capabilities are, trigger them, include them in an orchestrated workflow. It's amazing. And you can also just control it all from usually a web browser. So you don't have to worry about accessing everything. Everything is virtual. So I can make any room do whatever I want. And if I have the right devices, then I can make them do the work that I need in the right place at the right time for the job that I have that day.
So let's take things into a very real world, concrete direction for this next question. When we're thinking about those real world deployments, are there key ingredients that turn AV over IP scalability from a concept that may be appealing to a dependable day-to-day workflow you can really count on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think like everything, you need good infrastructure to start. So like I said, a network switch is probably your key ingredient, but it's really like the backbone. Then you need all of the organs, all the different devices that are around it that are going to fulfill your functions. And those probably fit into a core set because you have common processes that are true to just about every workflow. I need to encode, I need to decode, I need to send, I need to receive, I might want to stream, I need to use SRT, I also need to connect to different industry standard formats like NDI or Dante or ST2110. And so key ingredients are going to be devices that handle multiple formats and multiple protocols and are supporting industry standard protocols and formats that people are using commonly, allowing you to interoperate and exchange and have a great amount of compatibility and interoperability between your different products. A lot of people will like to choose best of breed point products, but you need this all to be fed with high quality gateways, converters, streamers, frame synchronizers, color correction devices, all of the signal treatment that is required in any job, whether you're doing it baseband or IP, has to be present there. So I would say things like Bridge Live, or AJA's IP25, or our Dante devices. These all support 2110. They support NDI and Dante, and these are the popular common IP flavors that are being used in the industry today, as well as SRT, primarily for transportation over the public internet, MPEG-2 for internal delivery. And so those devices are really interesting. They allow you to have that broad support for formats and protocols that are necessary today.
Thank you so much, Angus, for joining me. An informative conversation. Clearly, we found the right supplier to be part of our AV over IP deep dive. Really great thought leadership here, and I appreciate your participation, not only in the deep dive, but also in this conversation for our audience.
It's my pleasure, Dan. I appreciate the opportunity. And anyone interested in IP could check out the solutions area on aja.com. And we have a number of resources there that dive into a lot of these issues. So you can check some of that out for further reading.
Absolutely. I look forward to checking it out myself, checking out some of those examples also that you're going to be sending along. Can't wait to look at them. Thank you so much, Angus Mackay, Product Marketing Manager, AJA Video Systems. My name is Dan Ferrisi, Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald. As I said at the outset, please do check out the AV over IP Deep Dive, which AJA Video Systems is part of. It's part of our big July-August issue. You do not want to miss it. And you're also going to be able to find all of that coverage on commercialintegrator.com in August. So be sure to check it out. Again, Angus, thank you so much for being here with me today. And we will look forward to catching up with all of you right here on commercialintegrator.com very, very soon.